1. Go.
All right, so this is our presentation on saltwater corrosion and the methods that we produce to mitigate it.
All right, our project's about common different measures taken against saltwater corrosion and their effects on areas, especially like Galveston, where there's a lot of ocean infrastructure that needs to be saltwater protected. It intersects with the ocean environment, especially around our island, because the better we are at mitigating the effects of the corrosion, the less we'll have to mess with the natural environment by replacing the infrastructure we already have in. All right, the chemistry behind the scenes of this is the main principle is electroreactivity. So because corrosion is primarily an electromechanical process, which means it involves the transfer of electrons between the metal surface and its surrounding environment. Electroreactivity is referring to the tendency of a metal to lose electrons and undergo oxidation at its surface, essentially acting as an anode in an electromechanical cell, which is the fundamental mechanism behind most metal corrosion processes.
So our team has 5 members. I'm Daniel, and my teammates are Hebron, Will, Jacob, and Rylan. Will organizes our meetings and keeps us on track. Hebron manages our sources to make sure they're reliable and relevant. Jacob and Rylan focus on making sure our presentation meets all project goals. And I guide our project, check the quality of our work, and make sure we meet deadlines. So one challenge we faced was scheduling meetings because we all have different commitments like clubs and classes. To solve this, we agreed to share our schedules ahead of time so we could plan meetings more easily. This agreement helped us stay organized and work smoothly as a team. At first, each of us brought different ideas. Some of these ideas included looking at how ocean conditions affect materials for marine structures, how rising sea levels impact power plants, and how water from power plants affect ecosystems. And for the final proposal, we decided to focus on preventing saltwater corrosion in shipping channels.
And in this project, we went on a boat trip where we went around Pelican Island and we visited 5 different landmarks. We went to the warship, the Selma, the oil rig, Pelican Island Cut, and the Pelican Island Causeway. And these are the images that we took on the trip and their corresponding coordinates. And in relation to our thesis, the oil rig shows how is correctly using corrosion protection, where any components exposed to salt water is using specific coatings and materials resistant to the corrosive impacts of salt water to fight rust and allow it to last longer. And on the bottom, the Selma shows how when anti-corrosive coatings and materials are not used, the salt water will come in contact with the vessel, causing it to rust and corrode due to contact that's unprotected, and the ship will eventually break down.
So there were 3 different things that we looked at that we based our evidence around. And those 3 methods were cathodic protection, corrosion monitoring, and sacrificial anodes. The first one, cathodic protection, is a scientifically proven method that connects the metal surface that is intended to serve a purpose, so like the hull of a ship, to a more easily corroded metal. The way that it works is the metal becomes a cathode, and the anodes flow more easily to this other metal than they do to like the hull of the ship. Some common metals used for this are zinc, aluminum, and magnesium, and this significantly reduces corrosion or directs the corrosion in the way of this other the other metal that can be sacrificed. So corrosion monitoring uses probes which measure the flow of anodes to estimate the life with respect to the corrosion of a surface. This is used in order to know when a material needs to be replaced, whether it is a sacrificial layer or not. And this helps. This is a very cost-effective method because if you wait until it's too late, it's going to be much more expensive to go and replace the hull of a ship, for example. And then that last one, sacrificial anodes, are metals that are typically placed on top of a structure to delay the effects of corrosion on the main surface. And then corrosion monitoring would be used with sacrificial anodes because it would tell you when you need to replace that anode or that like top coating or layer. So a couple of our other findings were that the process of corrosion creates different acids, which are very harmful to marine life. You can see on the chart that's in the presentation that the consumption of carbonate ions creates carbonic acid. This can start killing off microorganisms, which just kind of starts a chain reaction in an ecosystem. It's harmful to fish. It can throw off the balance. It starts down at the level of like microorganisms, and it can work its way up. Also, the process of corrosion dissolves oxygen, and this depletion of oxygen can have negative impacts on marine life. Larger fish or lots of organisms need a higher concentration of oxygen to survive, so that can be detrimental to them if they don't have enough oxygen to survive. They just start moving out of that area or just dying off, and that can really kill ecosystems.
Okay, sacrificial anodes is a large part of preventing corrosion, and extensive research is done on increasing the capabilities of the anodes to decrease maintenance costs and increase ship lifespans. So the three major anodes are zinc, magnesium, and aluminum. Zinc is usually used because it's low cost. It's best used in freshwater situations because it can deplete rapidly in high salinity situations. Magnesium is good for fresh or low salinity on smaller vessels, but it is very reactive and gets rapidly consumed. While aluminum is long-lasting, high salinity, is usually used on big vessels in the open ocean. Some of the research that goes done into increasing their abilities as a sacrificial anodes, including alloys, which add rare earth metals to magnesium to make it last longer, decreasing its reactivity, while aluminum has the opposite need, where it needs to have an increased reactivity while also maintaining its material, so they add elements like indium and gallium to it. While adding these metals to it increases its reactivity, it also decreases its production of hydrogen gas, which decreases its abilities as a sacrificial anode.